Danny Segura for MMA Junkie. I'm here with Logan Storley, who will be competing this Friday in the main event of the PFL World Tournament 8 final against Thad G. And they'll be fighting for the welterweight title of the 2025 PFL tournament. Logan, first of all, how are you? How's it going? Big fight coming up ahead. I know that you're a veteran. You've been through this a ton of times, but how's the excitement level and how do you feel ahead of such a big fight?
Yeah, I'm excited. When you start the season, the goal is to get here, and so we're here, and I'm excited to go out there and perform and win that title.
Yeah. This is going to be a fun fight, man. I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, Thad Gene has caused a lot of hype, a lot of attention, has drawn a lot of attention, given he's undefeated, a young guy, and his performances as well. And I'm just wondering, you guys have competed on the same cards, obviously, being on the same tournament. So have you ran into him at all these last months? Have you had any interactions with him, any conversations with him? And if so, how have they been, if they have?
We talked in the cage afterwards, and it was respect. I don't really, you know, unless there's a reason to talk smack and a dislike. You respect everyone you go in there against. I know he's a young, talented kid, and we trained our butts off, for this whole last year. And I've watched Thad fight before he got in the tournament. I knew he was a good kid and that he could potentially be in this spot. And, here he is.
Yeah. What have you made of his tournament run? He got past Jason Jackson, which I was surprised. I thought Jason Jackson was going to win. I thought that was very, very impressive. What have you made of his tournament? Have you been impressed with his body of work?
Yeah, obviously, him and Jason was an extremely close fight.
Yeah.
Very, very close fight. But yeah, he's done great work and knockout in the first round, and then beating Jason. And Jason's a former champ and a veteran of the game, and he looked impressive. So I know Thad has a lot of skills, but we're prepared and we've done the work.
Yeah. Do you still train at Killcliff?
Yep, yep. My at Killcliff for the last 8 years.
Yeah. How much do you and Jason Jackson train? And I ask because obviously, like your team already prepared for a camp, So I'm wondering how much does that overlap? Because I'm guessing already the coaches and the staff are already previewed to Thad Gene, right?
Yeah, we have a little different coaches, but me and Jason spent a lot of time training together before this tournament started.
Hmm.
Obviously, once the tournament started, we knew that there was a potential for us to fight, and so we kind of went our separate ways as far
Yeah.
as training together, daily.
Right. No, and it makes total sense. Are you in a way relieved? Not that you wanted him to lose, obviously, but sometimes that can get weird. I know your gym has experienced it before with Usman and Burns, but that sometimes can get weird. So, are you almost relieved that you didn't have to fight a teammate?
Yeah, I was part of when Gilbert and Kamaru. I
Yeah.
trained with both of them, and that was difficult for guys at the gym, and Kamaru left, and Gilbert, and so yeah, I knew it would be a strain, not just on me and Jason, but other guys in the gym and
Yeah.
coaches, and like that's a lot, especially you're fighting for a title, like it's a big moment, and then you got two guys at the gym, and so obviously you want your teammates to win, but this, I guess, made my life easier as far as training
Yeah.
camp for the fight.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess what has Jason told you in the lead up if you've been able to train with him for this fight? Because he had a lot of success in the wrestling. Obviously, we know that you're a standout wrestler. So, how much did you take out of that fight and that
Yeah, we
performance?
we watched Jason's fight, and we just found positions.
Mm.
That's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna win small positions, small battles, and it's gonna be a hard fight. Thad did a great job of continuing to get up on Jason, so we're expecting that. And it's just gonna be a hard pace. It's gonna be You have to compete. You have to compete. And you have to be focused with him for the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. And you've faced like so many veterans, like so many guys in the game that have a lot of experience. That Gene has 10 fights, which is something, right? But it's, far less than some of the opponents that you've faced in the past. How much do you think that will be a factor, especially keeping in mind that this will be a 5-round fight?
Yeah, no, I think I think it plays a role. I've been competing in wrestling since I've competed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and I've competed against the best guys in the world, and so it definitely I've been in those moments, and those big fights. So I think that'll help me a lot. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like he's gonna still go out there and compete. It doesn't matter that he hasn't done it before. Um, so for me, it's you're expecting the best guy in the world, right? It's a world title fight, and I'm expecting the best, and so we prepared for that, and we're ready to go out there and perform.
Yeah. From what you've seen, obviously in the fight with Jason and just in his previous fights as well, and knowing what you can bring to the table, do you think he'll be able to deal with your wrestling come fight night?
No, no, I don't think he will. I think it's going to be it's going to be those positions that can he get up? Yeah, for sure. But can he keep that pace for 25 minutes? Can he keep up with the scrambles? Can he keep up with each for the whole time? Like I don't think anybody can do that, and so that's what my plan is: to go out there and set a high pace.
Yeah. And you're an extremely dominant fighter, and like you've had so much success. You've had only a handful of losses, 3 losses, and those have come against the very best, in Bellator and I guess now PFL. But some fans that are not very like wrestling centric have sometimes like criticized your style. I wonder how much feedback do you take from the fan base, and does that affect you in any way? Whether it's to, I don't know, motivate you, or maybe it does affect you. I don't know. I'm guessing like how do you deal with that part of the game?
For me, I'm 18-3, won an interim belt against MVP. Beat Buckley, beat these guys. My 3 losses at the time were, I think Amasov was 22-0, then 25-0, and
Yeah,
Messiah was 20-0. So it's like 20, 40. They were like 60 some and 0 were the 3 losses. And I went out there and done this against the best guys in the world, and I'm not going to change who I am. Like a boxer who's boxed since he's been 5 years old at the highest level is not going to all of a sudden start wrestling. Go away from his game plan. So for me, it's just I have to be true to myself, and I'm going to set a pace. And if guys don't like it, they got to get out of those positions.
yeah. How difficult is to not pay attention to that, if there's any difficulty at all? Because we've seen some fighters get affected by it, right? Like I think Bilal Muhammad, when he fought Jack Della, he was talking about how he was going to stand with him, and a lot of that was kind of to prove the haters that he had hands, this and that, and there's a good case to make that if he would have stuck by his game plan, which was originally to wrestle him and wrestle him more, maybe he would have still been champion, right? So, I guess is there any difficulty in dealing with that?
No, I think for me, it's by you're fighting for a title
Yeah,
by any means necessary, right? Um, you have to go out there and get your hand raised, and so in big fights, you go back to what you're best at, and this will be my 22nd fight. You know, we can fight anywhere, but I'm gonna go win my positions. Where I'm the best at, and that's be true to myself.
yeah, for sure. And I gotta ask you, like, this fight is obviously a big one. This world for a world title, $500,000 on the line. But you've, as you mentioned before, like you've won an interim belt in Bellator. You've been in some big title fights. Would you say if you were to win this one, would this be the biggest win of your career, or would you say you've had a bigger prior?
Um, I think you're always your next fight,
Yeah,
right? Um, so yeah, I think this will be biggest win of my career and take home that in a new organization with PFL, and I think they're doing great things over here, and to be the world champ, like so for me, yeah, I think this would be my biggest, and that's why we prepared and changed things from last year, and so we worked the last year to get in this position and started this tournament, and here we are, fight week,
yeah.
and so I'm really happy with my performance and the way that my team got me ready.
mean, moving forward, I get the sense that maybe you're not a guy that wants to look ahead, and you're obviously very focused on Friday and on Thad Gene. But PFL is doing something very different than a lot of promotions, which they have this sort of they have like sort of two not two different rosters, but they do have the tournament, right? And they also have the belt, the regular belt where they do matchmaking. Would you be interested for next season to get back in the tournament? Is that something you like, or would you like to kind of venture off and do the matchmaking style?
Yeah, it's interesting. It can become a lot of back to back to back, but for
Yeah.
me, it's also really nice to stay active. That's I feel like when you're active and you're in there and competing, you really improve. And I felt like I've improved compared to some guys. If you go over there, you might fight once a year, and so
Yeah.
it's you just never know. And so for me, yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I haven't looked at it. I haven't really concerned myself. For me, it's Friday, and then I'm gonna take a little time and enjoy it, and then we'll talk to PFL and see what's
Yeah.
next.
It cuts off a lot of the politics too, right? Like the tournaments. Like, I mean, there's no way getting around a bracket.
Yeah, it's just quarters, semifinals.
Yeah.
Win in advance, win in advance, win in advance, and that's really nice too. And so yeah, it's just I guess it's personal preference, but I have been active. This will be my fifth fight in the last 17 months.
Yeah.
So
That's a lot. How
a
does
lot
your
of fights.
body feel, by the way? Like,
Body feels good. Yeah, we like I said, I got a really good team behind me. Um, from Robbie all the way to nutrition to strength conditioning, um, and so we've done a lot of things different after last season. I just wasn't happy with the way I competed, and so we went back to the drawing board and um, put ourselves in the finals and you know 5 rounds away from winning a world title, and that's where I wanted to be.
all right, Logan. Well, looking forward to this fight against that Gene. Again, it'll be the main event of the PFL World Tournament 8 final. Super excited going down in Atlantic City. Big fight, $500,000 on the line in the title as well. So best of luck this Friday. And yeah, thank you for the interview.